You're a baker named Thomas, struck by the plague in a market town in southern England in 1348, the year the Black Death tears through the land like God's wrath. Dawn seeps through the cracks of your wattle and daub house, a dim glow barely piercing the fog of fever that clouds your mind. You wake on a straw mattress soaked with sweat, your body a furnace despite the chill air, the stench of sickness mingling with the faint yeast of yesterday's bread. Pain stabs your armpits, where swollen lumps, buboes the leech calls them, throb like hot coals. Your wife, Ellen, is gone, taken by the pestilence a week ago, her body carted to a pit beyond the churchyard. Your son, John, barely 12, huddles by the hearth, his eyes hollow, tending a fire that does little to warm the room. You cough, a wet rasp, and taste blood. Your breath shallow, each movement a battle against the weight of your failing flesh. Your day, if it can be called that, begins with a struggle to rise. Your tunic, once sturdy, clings to your skin, stained with sweat and pus from a bubo that burst last night. You stagger to the door, leaning on a stick, the floorboards creaking under your weight, and peer into the street. The town is a ghost of itself. Cobbles littered with refuse, shutters closed, the air thick with the reek of death and burning herbs. The bakery, your livelihood, sits silent next door, its oven cold since your strength failed. The townsfolk shun you, fearing the plague's breath, and you've seen neighbors mark your door with a red cross, a warning scrawled in chalk by the reeve's orders. You're a prisoner in your own home, bound by sickness and fear. Your life, before the plague, was flour and fire. You kneaded dough at dawn, your hands strong, baking rye loaves for the market, selling crusts to serfs and fine wheat bread to merchants. You paid the Lord's oven fee, cursing its cost, and tithed 1/10 of your flour to the church, the priest's eyes sharp as he weighed it. Now, the plague has stripped you bare. Your customers are dead or fled, your guild brothers vanished, and your oven is a tomb for dreams of coin. You touch the bubo under your arm, wincing, and pray for mercy, though the priest's sermons, sin breeds pestilence, echo in your skull, accusing. A peculiar detail of your sick room is the posy, a bundle of lavender and rue Ellen tied before she died, hung above the door to ward off miasma, the foul air blamed for the plague. You clutch it now, its scent faint, a ritual you cling to, though you've seen it fail. The leech, a masked figure with a waxcloth face, visited once, his lancet piercing your bubo, the pain blinding. He burned sage, muttering of humors, and left a vial of vinegar to wash your wounds, taking your last penny. You drink it now, its sourness sharp, hoping it purges the poison, though your cough worsens, blood flecking your lips. The town is a cauldron of despair. John, your son, ventures out for water, dodging the dead cart's rumble, its driver shouting, "Bring out your dead." You hear neighbors wail. Matilda, the weaver, lost her children. Godwin, a farmer, lies rotting in his hut. The market square, once loud with vendors, is silent save for the cries of the dying and the toll of the church bell rung for each soul lost. The reeve, a grim man, stalks the streets, finding those who break quarantine, his tally stick notched with names. You dread his knock, fearing he'll drag you to the pest house, a shed by the river where the sick are left to die. A curious custom shapes your days. You mark the hours with a prayer, scratching a cross on the wall for each, a tally of survival. You've carved 10 since dawn, your knife dull, the wood splintering. The townsfolk cling to charms, a rabbit's foot, a sprig of rowan, a coin blessed by the priest. But you've seen them fail. Ellen wore a tin cross, bought from a peddler, yet the plague took her, her skin blackening before the end. You keep it now, tied to your wrist, its weight a faint hope, though you doubt God listens. The priest, a gaunt figure, preached last week, his voice hoarse, blaming sin. But he's sick now, his church empty save for candles burning for the dead. Food is a memory. John brings pottage, barley and nettles, scavenged from your cellar, its thin warmth barely filling the void in your gut. You force it down, your throat raw, and give John the crust, his hands trembling as he eats. Your stores, 3 sacks of rye, a jar of honey are nearly gone, and the market offers nothing, its stalls abandoned. You dream of the Lord's feasts where you once sold bread, the scent of venison haunting you. A neighbor, Agnes, left a turnip at your door, a kindness you can't repay. Her own house marked with a cross now. Superstitions plague your thoughts, fever blurring faith and fear. The townsfolk whisper of a witch in the woods, her curse the plague's root. You scoffed once, but now you wonder, spitting thrice when a crow caws outside, a reflex from childhood. A strange ritual marks your sick bed. You sprinkle salt around your mattress, a habit Ellen swore kept spirits at bay. You do it now, the grain scattering, though the priest would call it sin. You clutch the relic, a splinter of bone, said to be saint, Rochs, bought from a peddler before the plague. Its power is doubtful, but you press it to your bubo, praying for a miracle. Danger is everywhere. The townsfolk's fear turns to madness. Last night, a mob burned a widow's house, accusing her of witchcraft, her screams echoing. You fear John's trips to the well where thieves lurk, stealing from the dying. Disease is your true foe, your buboes weep pus, your fever spikes, and you dread the black spots Ellen bore before death. You wash your hands in vinegar, a leech's advice, but fleas bite freely. Their hum a torment. The town's filth, sewers overflowing, bodies unburied, feed the plague. And you hear tales of whole villages gone, their fields empty, their church's shadow looms. You pray the Paternoster, your voice cracking. But Mass is a memory. The church closed since the priest fell ill. You confessed to him weeks ago, anger, the flour you hid from the tithe, the curse you spat at a debtor, but absolution feels hollow. The church takes no tithe now, its barn overflowing with unclaimed grain, rats gnawing the sacks. A peculiar duty haunts you. You whisper the names of the dead, Ellen, your brother, the miller, to keep their souls alive. A list growing longer each day. By noon you lie still, the fever a tide pulling you under. John brings water, his face pale, and you see a swelling at his neck, a bubo's shadow. Panic grips you, but you hide it, telling him to fetch the leech, though you doubt he'll come. A curious item is your baker's peel, a long wooden paddle leaning by the oven, useless now but a relic of your craft. You touch it, it's twilight of the previous day has bled into a gray, oppressive dawn, and you, Thomas, a baker ravaged by the plague in a market town in southern England in 1348, lie on your sweat-soaked straw mattress, the Black Death gnawing at your body like a relentless beast. The air in your wattle and daub house is thick with the stench of your own decay, pus from weeping buboes, the sour reek of fevered sweat, and the faint mocking trace of yeast from the silent bakery next door. Your armpits and groin throb with swollen lumps, each pulse a hammer blow, and your cough wet and ragged brings blood to your lips, staining the coarse linen you clutch. Your son, John, barely 12, kneels by the hearth, his face gaunt, stirring a fire that sputters against the damp chill. You saw the shadow of a bubo on his neck yesterday, a cruel echo of your own, and the sight twists your heart sharper than the pain in your flesh. The world beyond your door is a graveyard, the town's pulse fading under the plague's chokehold, and you, once a man of flower and fire, are now a ghost in your own life. tethered to a failing body and a dwindling hope. Your morning, if you can call it that, is a haze of delirium and struggle. You try to rise your tunic, once a badge of your trade, now a rag soaked with pus and sweat, clinging to your skin, its weight unbearable. Your baker's peel, a long wooden paddle that once slid loaves into the oven, leans against the wall, now a crutch you grasp with trembling hands. You stagger to the door, the floorboards creaking under your wasted frame, and peer through a crack in the shutter. The street is a wasteland, cobbles slick with filth, shutters sealed, the air heavy with the acrid burn of herbs, and the sickly sweet rot of unburied bodies. The red chalk cross on your door, scrawled by the Reeves order, glows like a brand, marking you and John as plague-touched, shunned by the living. You hear the dead carts rumble, its drivers cry, "Bring out your dead!" and flinch, praying John stays hidden, fearing the cart's men will drag you both to the pest house, a charnel shed by the river where screams never cease. Your life before the plague was a rhythm of labor and pride. You woke before dawn, kneading rye dough, your hands dusted white, the oven's heat a fierce comfort. You sold crusty loaves to serfs, fine wheat bread to merchants, and paid the Lord's oven fee, a coin you cursed but spared. You tithed flour to the church, the priest's scales tipped against you and bartered with Agnes, a farmer's wife for eggs, her sharp tongue a match for your own. Your guild, the Baker's Fellowship, met monthly, settling disputes over weights or prices, and you dreamed of John joining, his hands strong like yours. Now the oven is cold, the guild scattered, and your hands once calloused from work are frail, clawing at the air as you cough, the blood speckling your sleeve. The plague has stolen your trade, your wife Ellen, and soon, you fear, your son. A peculiar detail of your sick room is the vinegar jar, a clay vessel left by the leech, its sour liquid meant to cleanse your wounds. You dip a rag in it now, wincing as you dab a bubo, the sting sharp but fleeting against the deeper fire in your flesh. The leech, a masked figure with eyes like voids, lanced your armpit last week, the pain a white-hot scream, and burned sage, muttering of humors. He took your last penny, leaving the jar and a warning to pray. You drink a sip, its bite searing your throat, hoping it drives out the poison. Though your fever spikes, your vision blurring, the jar's glaze is cracked, a spiderweb of flaws, and you trace it with a finger, a futile act of focus against the delirium's tide. The town is a crucible of chaos and despair. John risked the streets for water, dodging thieves and the Reeves men, who find those who break quarantine. You hear fragments of the world. Matilda, the weaver, wailing for her dead children. Godwin, a farmer, gone mad, hacking at his door with an axe before collapsing, his body carted away. The market square, once a riot of vendors and pigs, is a wasteland, its stalls splintered. The church bell tolling endlessly, each clank a soul lost. The Reeve, a gaunt man with a notched tally stick, prowls like a wolf. His fine's a cruel tax on the dying. You dread his return, his mutter of the pest house a threat that haunts your fevered dreams. A curious custom clings to your days. You whisper the Ave Maria at each hour, marking time with a pebble you drop in a cup. A tally of survival. You've added 6 since dawn, your fingers fumbling, the cup's clay chipped from years of use. The townsfolk hoard charms, a sprig of rowan, a rabbit's foot, a coin kissed by the priest. But you've seen them fail. Ellen's tin cross, bought from a peddler, hung at her neck as she blackened and died. Her breath a rattle. You wear it now, its cord cut in your wrist. A relic of her faith, though yours phrase. The priest, sick himself, preached of sin's punishment, his voice a croak, and you wonder if your hidden flower, kept from the tithe, brought this curse. You clutch a bone splinter. St. Roch, the peddler swore, its reliquary a leather pouch and press it to your chest, praying for a miracle you no longer believe in. Food is a ghost. John scrapes pottage from the cellar, nettles a handful of barley, water murky from the well, its broth thin, barely warming your bones. You force it down, your throat a raw wound, and give John the crust, his eyes too old for his years. Your stores, 2 sacks of rye, a half jar of honey, are dwindling. The rats boulder each night, their scrabble loud in the dark. You dream of the Lord's hall, where you sold bread for feasts. The scent of roasted goose, a torment. Agnes, the farmer's wife, left a turnip days ago. Her house now silent, its door crossed. You owe her a debt you'll never pay, her kindness a flicker in the plague's shadow. Superstitions swarm your fevered mind, faith and fear blurring. The townsfolk blame a witch in the woods, her curse the plague's root, and you once laughed, but now you wonder, spitting thrice when a rat skitters across the floor. A childhood reflex, a strange ritual marks your bed. You trace a cross in the straw with your finger, a habit Ellen swore kept demons away. You do it now, the straw crunching, though the priest would damn it as pagan. The posy above the door, lavender and rue, has withered, its scent gone, but you leave it, a frail shield against the miasma. When a crow cawed at dawn, you threw salt in the fire, the flames hissing, and prayed it wasn't an omen. Danger is a constant pulse. The townsfolk's fear breeds madness. Yesterday, a mob torched a widow's house. Her screams cut short, accused of hexing the wells. You fear for John, his trips to the well a gamble with thieves who steal from the dying. The plague is your true enemy. Your buboes leak, your skin burns, and you dread the black spots that marked Ellen's end, creeping up her arms like ink. Fleas torment you, their bites a hum under your tunic, and you scratch until you bleed. The vinegar jar too empty to wash them away. The town's filth, sewers spilling, bodies rotting in alleys, feeds the pestilence and tales of empty villages. Their churches silent reach you through John's whispered news. The church's grip is broken but heavy. You mutter the paternoster, your voice a rasp. But Mass is gone. The church shuddered since the priest fell, his cough echoing yours. You confessed weeks ago, greed, the flower you hid, the curse you spat at a debtor. But absolution feels like ash. The church's tithe barn bursts with unclaimed grain, rats feasting where men starve. A peculiar Judy haunts you. You carve the initials of the dead, E for Ellen, R for your brother, M for the miller, into the wall. A litany of loss to keep their souls near. The knife shakes, the wood unyielding, but you carve, each mark a wound. By midday, you lie still, the fever a sea drowning you. John brings water, his hands trembling. The bubo on his neck clearer now, a cruel mirror of your own. You choke back panic, urging him to find the leech. Though you know the masked man won't come, his round's overwhelmed. A curious relic of your trade is the bread knife, its blade dull but sharp enough to cut the last loaf, now moldy in the corner. You touch its handle, worn smooth, and remember slicing warm loaves, the crust crackling. Now it's a weight in your hand, useless against the plague's blade. As afternoon creeps, the Reeves' knock returns, his voice sharp through the door, demanding you show yourself. You stay silent, John hiding, and he leaves, his mutter of the pest house a lash. You fear the shed stench, its floor slick with blood, the dying piled like cordwood. John returns, empty-handed, the leech gone, and you give him the St. Roch relic, its bone cold, whispering it will save him. The town fades. Cart wheels, a dog's howl, the bells toll, and you lie back, the posy dust, the walls crosses swimming. Life is pain, fear, and a son's fading face. You whisper Ellen's name, the plague your shroud, and sink into fever's dark tide, the knife's weight your only anchor. The night is a fevered blur, and you, Thomas, a baker consumed by the Black Death in a market town in southern England in 1348, wake to a dawn that feels like dusk, the light weak and gray through the warped shutters of your wattle and daub house. Your straw mattress is a swamp of sweat and pus, the stench of your rotting body, buboes weeping in your armpits and groin, blood crusted on your lips from a cough that tears your chest, mixing with the faint, mocking yeast of the bakery next door. It's oven cold as a grave. Pain is your world now, each breath a knife, each movement a battle against the plague's grip. Your son, John, 12 and frail, kneels by the hearth, his face a shadow of Ellen's. Your wife, taken by the pestilence 10 days ago, her body carted to a pit beyond the churchyard. His neck bears a bubo, swollen and red, a cruel mirror of your own, and the sight claws at your heart, sharper than the fire in your flesh. The town outside is a charnel house, its streets silent save for the dead cart's rumble and the wails of the living. The air thick with the reek of burning herbs, unburied corpses, and despair. You try to rise, your tunic a sodden rag, stained with the pus of burst buboes and the blood of your coughing fits. The effort is a torment, your legs trembling, and you lean on your baker's peel, its wooden shaft worn smooth from years of sliding loaves. Now a crutch for a body betraying you. You shuffle to the door, the floorboards groaning, and crack the shutter. The red chalk cross on your door glaring like a wound, scrawled by the reeve to mark you and John as plague-touched. The street is a wasteland, cobbles slick with filth, shutters nailed shut. A stray dog gnawing a bone you pray isn't human. The dead cart creaks past, its driver's cry, "Bring out your dead." A dirge, and you pull John back, his thin frame shaking, fearing the cart's men who drag the sick to the pest house, a charnel shed by the river where screams never cease. You whisper to him to stay hidden, your voice a rasp and sink back to the mattress, the fever a tide pulling you under. Your life before the plague was flour, fire, and pride. You rose before dawn, kneading rye dough, your hands dusted white, the oven's heat a fierce comfort. You sold crusty loaves to serfs, wheat bread to merchants like Master William, and bartered with Agnes, a farmer's wife, for eggs, her sharp wit a match for yours. You paid the Lord's oven fee, a coin you cursed, and tithed flour to the church. The priest's scales always heavy. Your guild, the Bakers' Fellowship, met in the tavern, settling disputes over weights or prices, and you dreamed of John apprenticing, his hands shaping dough. Now the bakery is a tomb, its shelves bare, the guild shattered, half its members dead, the rest fled. Your hands, once calloused, are skeletal, clawing at the air as you cough, blood speckling the straw, your dreams drowned in fever. A peculiar detail of your sick room is the vinegar jar, a cracked clay vessel left by the leech, its sour liquid your only defense against the plague's poison. You soak a rag in it, the sting sharp as you dab a bubo, the pain a scream in your flesh, though it fades against the deeper fire within. The leech, a masked figure with eyes like pits, lanced your groin days ago, the agony blinding, and burned sage muttering of humours. He took your last farthing, leaving the jar, and a warning to pray to St. Roch, the plague saint. You sip the vinegar now, its bite searing your raw throat, hoping it cleanses, though your fever spikes, your vision a blur of shadows. The jar's cracks seem to pulse, a map of your breaking body, and you clutch it, a futile anchor against delirium. The town is a crucible of death and madness. John, risking the streets for water, dodges thieves and the reeve's men, who patrol with notched tally sticks, finding those who break quarantine. You hear the world's fragments through his whispers. Matilda, the weaver, burned her house to escape the plague. only to die in the street. Godwin, a farmer, hacked his door to splinters, raving of demons before collapsing. His body carted to the pit. The market square, once a riot of vendors and pigs squealing, is a ruin, its stalls smashed, the church bell tolling without pause, each clang a soul gone. The reeve, his face a skull, stalks the town, his fine's a cruel lash on the dying, and you dread his return, his mutter of the pest house a blade at your throat. A curious custom shapes your fading hours. You count each breath with a prayer, dropping a pebble into a chipped clay cup, a tally of life's remnants. You've added 8 since dawn, your fingers shaking, the cup's edge worn from years of ale. The townsfolk hoard charms, a sprig of rowan, a rabbit's foot, a coin kissed by the priest, but they fail. Ellen's tin cross, bought from a peddler, hung at her neck as her skin blackened, her breath a death rattle. You wear it now, its cord cut in your wrist. A relic of her faith, though yours crumbles. The priest, felled by the plague, preached sin's punishment, his cough like yours. And you wonder if your hidden floor, kept from the tithe, or the curse you spat at a debtor, brought this scourge. You clutch a bone splinter, saint. Rocks the peddler swore, in a leather pouch, pressing it to your chest, its weight a faint hope, though God feels silent. Food is a cruel memory. John scrapes pottage from the cellar, nettles a pinch of barley, waterfowl from the well, its broth a ghost of warmth, barely easing the gnaw in your gut. You choke it down, your throat a wound, and give John the crust, his eyes too weary for a child. Your stores, 1 sack of rye, a smear of honey, are nearly gone, rats chewing through the sacks. Their scrabble a torment in the dark. You dream of the Lord's hall where you sow bread for feasts, the scent of roasted goose, a knife in your memory. Agnes, whose house is now crossed, left a turnip days ago, her kindness a debt you'll never repay, her silence a new grief. Superstitions swarm your fevered mind, faith and fear entwined. The townsfolk blame a witch in the woods, her curse the plague's root, and you once scoffed, but now you falter, spitting thrice when a rat crosses your floor, a reflex from childhood. A strange ritual marks your bed. You sprinkle salt in a circle around your mattress, a habit Ellen swore kept demons at bay. You scatter it now, the grains trembling in your hand, though the priest, if he lived, would damn it as pagan. The posy, lavender, and rue, above the door is dust, its scent lost. But you leave it, a frail shield against the miasma. When a crow cawed yesterday, you burned a scrap of cloth in the fire, the flames hissing, praying it wasn't death's herald. Danger is a pulse louder than your heart. The townsfolk's fear breeds violence. 2 nights ago, a mob burned a widow's house. Her scream swallowed by flames, accused of poisoning the wells. You fear for John, his trips to the well, a gamble with thieves who steal from the dead, their knives glinting in torchlight. The plague is your true foe. Your buboes weep, your skin burns, and black spots like Ellen's creep up your arms, a death mark. Fleas torment you, their bites a hum under your tunic, and you scratch until blood flows, the vinegar jar empty. The town's filth, sewers spilling, bodies rotting in alleys, feeds the pestilence, and tales of villages turned to dust. Their fields choked with weeds, reach you through John's trembling voice. The church's grip is shattered but heavy. You whisper the Pater Noster, your voice a broken reed. But Mass is a ghost, the church locked since the priest died, his body unburied. You confessed to him weeks ago, greed for hiding flour, anger at a debtor, despair at Ellen's death. But absolution is ash. The tithe barn, bursting with unclaimed grain, is a feast for rats, not men. A peculiar duty haunts you. You carve the dead's initials, E for Ellen, R for your brother, M for the miller, W for Matilda. Into the wall, a litany to hold their souls. The knife slips, the wood unyielding, but you carve, each mark a scar on your heart. By midday, you lie still, the fever a sea drowning you. John brings water, his hands shaking, his bubo now a fist-sized lump, his eyes dull with fear. You choke back a sob, urging him to find the leech, though you know the masked man is gone, likely dead. A curious relic of your trade is your bread knife, its blade dull but once sharp enough to slice warm loaves, now moldy in the corner. You grip its handle, its grain a memory of better days, when the oven roared and the market sang. Now it's a weight, useless against the plague scythe. As afternoon drags, a knock shakes the door. The reeve, his voice a snarl, demanding you open. You stay silent, John pressed against you, and he leaves, cursing the pest house, his sticks tap fading. You dread the shed stench, its floor slick with blood, the dying stacked like logs. John returns empty-handed. The leech vanished, and you press the St. Roch relic into his palm. It's bone-cold, whispering it will save him, though your voice breaks. The town fades. Cartwheels, a bell's toll, a dog's howl, and you sink into the mattress. The posy crumbled, the walls crosses swimming in your vision. Life is pain, fear, and a sun's fading breath. You whisper Ellen's name, the plague your shroud, and drift into fever's black tide, the knife your last anchor, the world dissolving into shadow. The darkness of the plague has swallowed time, and you, Thomas, a baker broken by the Black Death in a market town in southern England in 1348, lie in the fetid haze of your waddling daub house, where dawn is no more than a sickly gray smear. Through the warped shutters, your straw mattress is a mire of sweat, pus, and blood, the stench of your decaying body. Buboes festering in your armpits and groin, your lungs torn by a cough that spews crimson, mingling with the faint, cruel echo of yeast from the bakery next door. Its oven a silent crypt. Each breath is a blade, each heartbeat a hammer, the plague's grip tightening like a noose. Your son, John, 12 and wasting, sits by the hearth, his face a ghost of Ellen's. Your wife, lost to the pestilence 12 days ago, her body tossed into a pit beyond the churchyard. His neck swells with a bubo, angry and raw, a mirror of your own. And his eyes, once bright, are dull with fear and hunger. The town outside is a necropolis, its streets choked with the dead, the air thick with the acrid burn of herbs, the rot of unburied flesh, and the wails of those still clinging to life. You're a shadow, once a man, of flower and fire, now a husk bound to a rotting frame, your hope a fading ember in the plague's relentless storm. You try to move your tunic, once a baker's pride and now a sodden shroud, clinging to your skin, its fabric crusted with pus from burst buboes and blood from your hacking cough. The effort is agony, your legs buckling, and you grip your baker's peel, its wooden shaft polished by years of sliding loaves, now a crutch for a body that betrays you. You crawl to the door, the floorboards groaning under your weight, and crack the shutter, the red chalk cross on your door, a blazing scar scrawled by the reeve to mark you and John as plague-touched, outcasts in a dying world. The street is a desolation, cobbles slick with sewage, shutters nailed shut, a rat gnawing a scrap you pray isn't flesh. The dead cart rumbles past, its driver's cry, "Bring out your dead," a knell that chills your marrow. You pull John back, his skeletal frame trembling, fearing the cart's men who drag the sick to the pest house, a riverside shed where the dying are stacked like kindling. There screams a chorus of despair. You rasp for him to hide, your voice a broken reed, and collapse back to the mattress, the fever of Black Sea drowning you. Your life before the plague was a symphony of labor and ambition. You rose before dawn, kneading rye dough, your hands dusted white, the oven's roar a fierce comfort. You sold crusty loaves to serfs, fine wheat bread to merchants like Master William, whose saffron trade brought coin, and bartered with Agnes, a farmer's wife, for eggs. Her sharp tongue a spark in the market's hum. You paid the Lord's oven fee, a penny you cursed, and tithed flour to the church, the priest's scales rigged to cheat. Your guild, the baker's fellowship, met in the tavern, settling disputes over weights or prices, and you dreamed of John apprenticing, his hands shaping dough, rising above the serf's yoke. Now the bakery is a mausoleum, its shelves bare, the guild a memory, half its men dead. The rest fled to the hills, chasing rumors of clean air. Your hands once strong are claws, scraping the air as you cough. Blood staining the straw, your dreams ash in the plague's fire. A peculiar detail of your sick room is the vinegar jar, a cracked clay vessel left by the leech. Its sour liquid your frail shield against the plague's venom. You fumble for it, soaking a rag, the sting a scream as you dab a bubo, though it's nothing against the inferno in your flesh. The leech, a masked specter with eyes like graves, lanced your armpit a fortnight ago. The pain a white-hot brand, and burned sage, muttering of miasma and corrupted humors. He took your last farthing, leaving the jar and a plea to pray to Saint Rock, the plague's saint. You sip the vinegar, its bite a shard in your raw throat, hoping it purges the poison, but your fever surges, your vision fracturing into shadows. The jar's cracks pulse like veins, a map of your ruin, and you clutch it, a dying man's anchor in a sea of delirium. The town is a pyre of chaos and death. John, risking the streets for water, dodges thieves and the Reeves men who stalk the alleys with notched tally sticks, finding those who defy quarantine. You hear their world through his whispers? Matilda, the weaver, burned her house to flee the plague, only to die choking in the street. Godwin, a farmer, raved of demons, hacking his door to splinters before falling, his body carted to the pit. The merchant, Master William, fled with his gold, only to be found dead on the road, his throat cut. The market square, once a riot of vendors and pigs, is a wasteland, its stalls shattered, the church bell tolling without cease, each clang a soul lost. The Reeve, his face a death mask, prowls like a vulture, his fines a lash on the dying, and you dread his return, his threat of the pest house a noose tightening. A curious custom marks your fading hours. You count each breath with a whispered prayer, dropping a pebble into a chipped clay cup, a tally of life's scraps. You've added 10 since dawn, your fingers trembling, the cup's edge worn from years of ale, its handle broken when Ellen threw it in a quarrel long forgotten. The townsfolk hoard charms, a sprig of rowan, a rabbit's foot, a coin kissed by the priest, but they crumble. Ellen's tin cross, bought from a peddler, hung at her neck as her skin blackened, her breath a death knell. You wear it, its cord slicing your wrist, a relic of her love, though your faith phrased. The priest, taken by the plague, preached sin's scourge, his cough a twin to yours, and you wonder if your hidden flower, kept from the tithe, or the curse you spat at the miller for debt, summoned this doom. You clutch a bone splinter, Saint. Rosh, the peddler, swore, in a leather pouch, pressing it to your bubo, its weight a fading hope, God's silence a stone. Food is a cruel phantom. John scrapes pottage from nothing, nettles a dust of barley, water foul from the well. Its broth a whisper, barely touching the hunger in your bones. You force it down, your throat a wound, and give John the crust. His eyes too old for his ears. Your stores, a half sack of rye, a smear of honey, are gone. Rats feasting where you starve. Their scrabble a torment in the night. You dream of the Lord's hall, where you sow bread for feasts. The scent of roasted goose ablate in your memory. Agnes, her house crossed, left a turnip a week ago. Her kindness a debt you'll never repay. Her silence a new wound. A neighbor Joan, the cooper's wife, slipped a carrot through the shutter yesterday. Her hand trembling, but her house is silent now. Its door marked. Superstitions swarm your fevered mind. Faith and fear a tangled knot. The townsfolk blame a witch in the woods. Her curse the plague's root. And you once laughed, but now you falter, spitting thrice when a rat skitters, a reflex from childhood. A strange ritual marks your bed. You trace a cross in the straw, Ellen's habit to banish demons. You do it now, the straw crackling, though the priest, if alive, would damn it as pagan. The posy, lavender, and rue above the door is dust. It's scent a memory, but you leave it, a frail shield against the miasma. When a crow cawed at dawn, you burned a rag in the fire, the flames hissing, praying it wasn't death's call. You sprinkle salt around your mattress, grains trembling. A charm Ellen swore kept spirits at bay, though the darkness feels alive. Danger is a pulse louder than your heart. The townsfolk's fear breeds violence. 3 nights ago, a mob burned a widow's house. Her scream swallowed, accused of poisoning the wells. You fear for John, his trips to the well a dance with thieves. Their knives gleaming in torchlight. The plague is your true foe. Your buboes weep, your skin burns. And black spots like Ellen's crawl up your arms, a death sentence. Fleas torment you, their bites a hum under your tunic, and you scratch until you bleed. The vinegar jar dry, the town's filth, sewers spilling, bodies rotting in alleys. Feeds the pestilence, and tales of villages turn to ash, their fields wild. Retch you through John's choked whispers. The church's grip is broken but crushing. You mutter the Pater Noster, your voice a rasp. But Mass is a ghost the church sealed since the priest died, his body left in the nave. You confessed weeks ago. Greed for hiding flour, anger at a debtor, despair at Ellen's death. But absolution is dust. The tithe barn, swollen with unclaimed grain, is a rat's feast, not man's. A peculiar duty haunts you. You carve the dead's initials, E for Ellen, R for your brother, M for the miller, W for Matilda, J for Joan, into the wall, a litany to bind their souls. The knife shakes, the wood unyielding, but you carve, each mark a wound. By midday you lie still, the fever a maelstrom. John brings water, his hands trembling, his bobo a fist-sized horror, his breath shallow. You choke back a cry, urging him to find the leech, though you know the masked man is dead, his tools scattered. A curious relic of your trade is your bread knife, its blade dull but once sharp, now useless beside a moldy loaf. You grip its handle, its grain a memory of warm crusts. The markets hum. Now it's a weight, impotent against the plague's scythe. As afternoon fades, the reeve's knock returns, his snarl piercing the door. You stay silent, John pressed against you, and he leaves, cursing the pest house. His sticks tap a fading threat. You dread the shed's reek, its floor blood slick, the dying piled like logs. John returns, empty-handed. The leech vanished, and you press the St. Roch relic into his palm. It's bone-cold, whispering salvation you don't believe. The town dissolves. Cartwheels, a bell's toll, a dog's howl. And you sink into the mattress, the posy ash, the wall's crosses fading. Life is pain, fear, and John's waning breath. You whisper Ellen's name, the plague your shroud, and drift into fever's void. The knife your last tether, the world a fading echo.